Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Wizardry Workshop. In this video we're going to be making a prop replica from The Crimes of Grindelwald, and this is the Advanced Defense Against the Dark Arts book. And it's not going to be fully readable, but we do have a title page in there, and we're going to just make an old book look like this book from the movie. Basically create our own little movie prop. If you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up down below. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel while you're at it, if you're not subscribed already, for more Harry Potter DIY videos just like this one. But let's get into this. So you will need all of this stuff in order to make the book. But let's start out by just taking a look at the prints themselves that you need to print out. So there are a few different versions that come with them. I'm doing the gold foiling, so if you're doing the foiling, this is what you're going to do. If you're not doing the foiling, I have another version that's the file name of it says no foil at the end of the file name. That's the one you want to print out if you're not doing foil. But you need 2 copies of the end paper file, you need the cover file, and then there's also a title page, which you'll need to print that out. These are all printed just single-sided. And if you're doing the gold foiling, we're going to have foil on the cover and we're going to have foil on the end papers. So in order to do that, you need to print the backgrounds of these out, the main files, on an inkjet printer, and then the other files, which look like this, are going to be printed directly on top of your inkjet prints with a laser printer. So as you can see there, you can kind of see the design here printed with black on a laser printer, and that's where the foil is going to stick to. And you don't have to print them like this. I'm just showing you what the files look like. You'll want to print them both on the same page, the inkjet print and the laser print. You will also need a book, and I'm going to use this old book. I can't remember exactly where I got it. It may have been something that was given to me by a relative who was getting rid of a bunch of their old books, or I could have possibly gotten it at Goodwill or something. I can't quite remember. But this one is Some Spanish-American Poets, translated by Alice Stone Blackwell. So we're going to transform this into Defense Against the Dark Arts. The book that you use, it will need to be a 5 by 8. That's what I designed the templates around, a 5 by 8, and then the spine is 1 1/4 inches. So you'll need to make sure that the spine is at least 1 1/4 inches wide, and that the book is a 5 by 8 book. And that's a pretty standard size, so you shouldn't have too much trouble finding this. And I guess you could go larger than that if you want, but the print will just be a bit smaller on the cover. So like if you did a 7 by 10, you would just have a bit more of a bezel around the edge. So we're going to start out by putting the gold foil on these 3 pages right here. And if you're not doing this part, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the next section. We will need our heat activated foil. You will also need your foil applicator, whether you're using a Mink foil applicator like I am, or if you're using like a laminator or something, that also works. I've never done it, but I've heard that it works. But let's turn this on and turn our heat up to 3. And while we wait for that to heat up, we can start getting the foil ready. So far I've only used silver and gold foil on my channel, but I felt like I wanted to do something a bit different in this one, and it's a rose gold. So it's not exactly the same color as a gold foil, but I wanted to do something a bit different. And as you heard, this just beeped. That means that it's ready to go. So I'm gonna stop babbling and let's get this gold foil ready. So we will just get this foil, and I wonder if you can tell that it's sort of a different color of gold in the camera. So now we just put the foil on top of our print. We're going to also need one of these protective plastic folders. It is another product by Mink, the people who do this gold foil applicator, but you will need this protective folder. Then we just send it through, and then when it comes out the other side, we should have a foiled print. And while that is going, let's go ahead and get the foil ready for the other prints. All right, this one just came out, so let's take a look and see what it looks like. So here's what the end paper looks like with the rose gold foiling. I think that looks really cool. Let's do the cover next and see how that turns out. All right, the cover has finished. We also did the spine. So let's see how that turned out. Yes, that looks really cool too. I just love foiling. From my perspective, the rose gold was a little bit harder to see on the end paper, but you can really see it on this one, and I think it looks really cool. And now we'll just do the last end paper, and that's all the foiling we need to do. So while that's going, we can go ahead and cut these out. I'm going to use a ruler and X-Acto knife to do this. You could use whatever means you want, but I just find it best to use this because then you make sure that you get nice straight cuts. Now we've got most of the white space off from the cover here, but as you can see in all 4 of these corners, there's just a little bit of white, so we're going to cut the little white corners off as well. All right, now we've got our cover and our spine cut out. We'll also need to cut the white space off from around our end papers and also the title page. All right, now we have all of our prints foiled and cut out and ready to go. And by the way, if you're not using the gold foiled version, this is what your print is going to look like. It's just kind of yellow where the foil would be. And then the spine is just black. And now it is time to age this a little bit by hand. So we're going to use some distress ink for that. The color that I'm using right now is walnut stain. And then I have this blending brush that works really well with this. So we're going to get some of that stain or some of that ink on the brush, and we're just going to blend in some of that stained color around the edges. Just go really lightly with it. Too much looks a little less natural. And as you do this, make sure you're just going sort of around the edges here and then sort of blending it in, but you don't really need to go to the center of this print, just around the edges. So now you can kind of see where it's starting to look a little stained around the edges, which looks really cool. But the most important part really for this is the back of this print. We're going to go around the edges so that it's not white. And the reason we're doing that is because if over time it starts to peel up a little bit around the edges, you don't want to see the white paper underneath. You kind of want maybe just an aged paper look, and that's what we're going for. There, now we should have this sort of stained area around the edge of the back, just around the frame of this print, and then on the front, we've added a little bit of aging around the edges. And then we're going to do pretty much the same thing on the spine. We just want some light aging around the edges of the spine. And next we are going to do the back just like we did for the cover. And now comes the fun part. We can bring our book into the DIY now. And what we're going to be doing is sort of transforming this into the Defense Against the Dark Arts book. So first, of course, we're going to glue the cover right on top, right here. So go ahead and apply your glue all over the back of this cover print. And if using a glue stick makes you feel like a child, you can use whatever adhesive you want. And then you're going to line this up as straight as you can and as centered as you can. And just carefully flatten it out. I mean, it already looks pretty cool just like this, but let's go ahead and finish this. You want to try and find a spine that is blank. Mine has some letters up here that are sort of worn away, but this spine piece goes at the top like that. So that's perfect. It just covers them up. If you have letters that go all the way down, you may need to get some bookbinding tape and just cover that up first. Now we're going to try and get the spine about the same width, or about the same amount of space from the top as the cover. Oop, there goes my phone. And then kind of make sure it's straight there. And there we go. So there's the cover and the spine. Looking pretty good. Also, it's important to have a book that has a blank back, because there is no back to this book. If you look at the artwork here on the cover, that's what I based this book on, because he's sort of like, this wizard is sort of reading the same book that we're reading right now, and it has this little piece right here for the spine, it has the cover, and the back is blank. So I've just sort of mimicked that. We've got the cover, we've got this part for the spine, and the back is blank. Now we can put in the end papers, and we're going to go ahead and glue these in, but first let's fold them completely in half. So I've folded this completely in half. I'm going to fold it in half the other way too, because we want that fold to be a nice fold that has a lot of like mobility, I would say. Because you might be opening and closing this book to show people, so you want it to be able to open and close like that too. We're just gonna like line it up with the blank end paper, or whatever end paper is in your book, and then we'll glue it in there. But before we do glue that in there, we're also gonna do some aging on this. So get out your Distress ink again and your blending brush. And we're going to do the edges just like before. Not only are we going to go around the border, but we're also going to go down the middle. I always forget to wear gloves when I do this. So there we go. That's looking pretty good. And we're going to also do just around the back edges, just like before, so that when it does start peeling up a little bit, you won't see just plain white paper. So let's just start on this side and work our way over. So I'm going to put some glue there. Probably glue all the way to the middle. Line it up as close as you can get to the actual end paper. You don't want any bubbles in there, so be really careful. And sort of go ahead and start closing the book as you do this, because you want the paper to glue in to the center part of this book, the fold of this book right there. Now to glue this next part down, I don't want to get glue on any of the rest of the book, so I'm just going to put a scrap piece of paper in between, and then we're going to put glue directly on this page. I know some of you are cringing right now because I'm destroying a vintage book, but it wasn't getting any use as it was, and now it will. So I'm saving it. I'm not destroying it. So now we have our book with the end paper inside, and we're just going to, for the other piece of end paper, obviously it's for the back of the book, so you'll just do the same exact thing in the back of the book. And then the final touch is going to be this cover page, or title page. And we're just going to glue it right on top of the actual title page right there. Depending on how thin the paper is that you printed this on, though, you might actually see, if this isn't a blank page right here, you might actually see the text showing through. I do. And as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but I did already try this to make sure it works. But if you get an eraser and you just very lightly go over this, you can actually erase the text. Don't do it too hard. Don't push too hard on the paper. And you got to be careful, because this eraser, if you do it too hard or too much in the same spot, it could rip through the paper, and you don't really want that. Next, let's glue this page on top of this page. Get it as close to the edge as you can to overlap the pages. And now we have our title page. It's probably going to be good to, once you're all done with this, to set it down and stack some heavy things on top. Like if you have a few really heavy, thick books, you stack those on top of it overnight. That way everything will sort of flatten out, because the glue will sort of warp it as it dries if it's not kind of compressed. As you can see, it's already doing it with this page. It's starting to warp. Once your book is completely finished, you should have your end paper on the inside like this. You should have your title page right here. And then in the very back, you will have your back end paper. And of course, the foiled spine. So that is how you make the Advanced Defense Against the Dark Arts book from Fntastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. If you guys enjoyed this DIY, definitely make sure you give the video a like and subscribe if you're not already. As far as this book goes, I do give away all of the projects that I make. So I will be giving this project away. If you're wanting a chance at winning this book, I have giveaway links in the description box below. And down there, you're also going to find my 70K giveaway. And that is for the set of Accio box book covers. And these fit on the first edition American hardbacks of the Harry Potter series. So not only will you get this set of covers, which are no longer in print, you will also get the full set of Harry Potter first edition hardback books to go along with them. That way you get everything you need. So if you're interested in that giveaway, the link is down there in the description box as well. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this. Let me know if you like that, that rose gold foil. I think that rose gold foil just looks really cool on this book. I think I prefer it to gold foil, at least for this project. So yeah, that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.